the evolution of Sepak Takraw from tradition to global phenomenon. Before we start, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so we can continue make exciting sports history videos. Brimmed with spectacular moves, athletic jumps, and breathtaking flips, today's topic of discussion is Sepak Takraw, an increasingly popular sport in the world and especially in Southeast Asia. Sepak Takraw, or Sepak Takraw, also commonly referred to as kick volleyball, is a team sport traditionally played among two teams consisting of players ranging from 2 to 4 on an arena similar to a badminton court. You can say it is a hybrid version of volleyball and foot volley played with a rattan ball and a net separating the two participating teams. Players are only allowed to use their feet, thighs, knees, shoulders, head, and chest to touch and move the ball around. Although Sepak Takraw has a rich history, the modern version of the game was established in 1960. Today, it is governed and regulated internationally by the International Sepak Takraw Federation, which was founded in 1988 and organizes several tournaments and competitions worldwide. Without further ado, let's explore Sepak Takraw in detail, including its history, origin, rules, tournaments, popularity, and other nitty-gritty. History of Sepak Takraw. Sepak Takraw was supposedly introduced by the Chinese to the Southeast Asian region. The sport was inspired by Kuju, a traditional game played by the ancient Chinese military as an exercise. Soldiers used to move a leather ball stuffed with feathers back and forth between 2 or more people without letting it touch the ground for as long as they could. Kuju is also famously considered by the Fédération Internationale de Football Association as the inspiration and origin of football. As proven by the historical records, different versions of Sepak Takraw were popular in Southeast Asia, particularly in Malaysia, as early as the 15th century. However, the early versions of Sepak Takraw were not considered a competitive game played between two teams. It was rather played as a recreational activity relished by a group of keen individuals. Origin of Sepak Takraw. Etymology. There are different names for the sport in different regions. It is referred to as Sepak Raga in Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, and Malaysia, Chinlone in Myanmar, Sipa in the Philippines, Takraw in Thailand, Set Dai in Cambodia, Kado in Laos, Jejachagi in Korea, Kuju in China, and Kemari in Japan. The word sepak is from the Malay language, which means to kick, while takraw is a Thai word that means woven rattan ball or muzzle. Sepak Takraw collectively means to kick a rattan ball. The latest name of Sepak Takraw was decided after officials from Thailand and Malaysia met in Kuala Lumpur in 1960. How the modern version of Sepak Takraw originated. As stated earlier, the authentic origin of Sepak Takraw is somewhat vague and remains controversial, as different Southeast Asian countries claim to have introduced the sport and play it with pride. Nevertheless, there is a mutual understanding that Sepak Takraw was brought to Southeast Asia by China, where a traditional form of the sport was played as a Chinese military exercise routine. Initially, Sepak Takraw wasn't considered a competitive sport. However, during the first half of the 20th century, the foundation of contemporary competitive sport was laid concurrently in Thailand and Malaysia. In Malaysia, the sport was labeled Sepak Raga, and as per the record, a competitive game of Sepak Raga was played publicly for the very first time in 1935. A badminton court was used as the venue for that particular match in the state of Negeri Sembilan. However, the eminence of the game soon skyrocketed and started to spread in other regions, especially in Penang. In 1945, Hamid Maidan, a Penang native, came up with his own version of the sport by adding a net and borrowing several rules from badminton. The newer version, named Sepak Raga Jaring, soon started to get acclaimed in various regions due to its fast, swift nature of play and ultimate athleticism. Evolution of Sepak Takraw and rise to popularity. The first Sepak Takraw official tournament was held in Penang, Malaysia on May 16, 1945. The sport became famous during the 1960s throughout the country and began to be played at the mass level mostly on badminton courts. During this time, the standardization of Sepak Takraw as a sport on an international level also started. In 1956, the foundation of the Penang Sepak Raga Sponsors Committee was founded with the aim to discuss the future of the sport with representatives from other countries and regions. Eventually, in January 1960, the foundation of the Malayan Sepak Raga Jaring Sponsors Committee was laid and initial rules and regulations for Sepak Takraw were proposed in April 1960 in Kuala Lumpur. Later, also during 1960, representatives from different nations, including Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, and Thailand gathered in Kuala Lumpur with the main objective to standardize the rules for Sepak Takraw at an international level. After the conclusive discussions, the official name Sepak Takraw was also agreed upon. In 1965, Asian Sepak Takraw Federation was established, and during the same year, the Third Southeast Asian Peninsular Games were organized in Kuala Lumpur with the inclusion of Sepak Takraw as an official sport for the very first time in history. It has become a popular attraction since then and has been organized as a biennial event. During the Asian Games in 1970, which were held in Bangkok, teams from Thailand and Malaysia played an exhibition game of Sepak Takraw. Fast forward to 1990, Sepak Takraw was added to the Asian Games for the first time among the medal sports after some strong persuasion by the Asian Sepak Takraw Federation. The first ever official tournament of Sepak Takraw was held in Thailand in 1985. It was named the King's Cup Sepak Takraw World Championship, and since then has become the most esteemed international event of Sepak Takraw. The event is organized in Thailand every year, and to date, 34 seasons have been played. The foundation of the International Sepak Takraw Federation was laid in 1988, and it became the very first governing body of Sepak Takraw at the international level. ISTAF is primarily responsible for organizing the events, the rules and regulations for competitive play, and the growth and promotion of the sport. In 2011, Kuala Lumpur hosted the inaugural edition of the International Sepak Takraw Federation World Cup for both men and women. The subsequent World Cup was held in Hyderabad, India in 2017, and the third edition is slated for 2022. Sepak Takraw and Olympics. The popularity of Sepak Takraw is soaring throughout the world, especially in Asia. The sport has become a spectacle to audiences with gravity-defying moves, flexible aerial twists, blistering pace, and action-filled matches. Thailand has been dominating the Sepak Takraw competitions for the majority of the last 10 years, having won almost every major tournament. Malaysia is another force to be reckoned with in the international Sepak Takraw circuit. These two countries seem to keep their hegemony, but given the rapid spread of the game, countries like South Korea, Myanmar, Vietnam, and Singapore are not far behind from catching up. Efforts are being made to introduce Sepak Takraw in the Olympics as Asian countries are heavily lobbying to get the sport added to the mega sporting event. This will attract big audiences at the international level, and the sport will continue to climb up the ladder of prominence. It seems like a matter of time now that one of the most popular games from Asia will get its much-deserved place in the Olympic Games. The beauty of Sepak Takraw lies not only in its physical prowess, but also in its ability to transcend cultural and linguistic barriers, uniting people through the common language of sport. As we celebrate its history, let us remember the players, coaches, and enthusiasts who have dedicated themselves to its growth, ensuring that this thrilling sport continues to inspire and captivate for generations to come. In a world that constantly evolves, Sepak Takraw remains a shining example of how tradition and innovation can coexist harmoniously, enriching our lives with its vibrant heritage. So, whether you're a seasoned Sepak Takraw aficionado or a newcomer to its charms, let us all join hands in preserving, promoting, and celebrating this remarkable sport that embodies the essence of teamwork, skill, and cultural unity.